how important is it for you to pick the right partner, the right spouse, the right people to be around, the right people to hang around? How important is it for us to teach our children to pick the right people to hang around, or the right boyfriend or girlfriend or whatever the case might be?
Pull over and put your hands up, bro. My baby is in the car, Dayon. Bro, Dayon, just pull over.
I understand.
Let us out.
Because he's moving.
Bro, just let us out, bro. Let us out.
Oh, I'm not even supposed to be in this right now.
Bro, let us out, Dayon. Dayon, let us out, bro.
It's over with.
Dayon, let us the out.
Oh, stop this.
Bro, no, I'm not relaxing when you got my baby in the car. They got guns pointed to the car. They about to hit the car, bro. You're not thinking about your baby right now. You finna get our baby too,
bro. They gonna smoke me.
You already did it the first time, bro. Don't do this again, bro.
Well, I love y'all. I'm never gonna see y'all again.
Bro, we love you more, bro. You is gonna see us again, but you gotta pull over, bro. You have to, bro. Pull over with your hands in the air, Dayon.
Bro, it's over with.
Bro, Dayon, pull over.
A man live streams his run away from the cops with a 4-month-old baby in the backseat with his girlfriend. He live streamed it, guys.
Live streamed it. And I think the part that got me is where, like, the girl's saying to him, like, we love you more. Just pull over. We love you more. Do you know what I mean? And I think the scary part as well is just like, I guess in America, we don't have this in the UK, we thank God. But in America, obviously, I guess sometimes we've seen videos where it's shoot first, ask questions last. Mm-hmm. Especially after the guy's been driving, probably trying to get away from the police, you know, like some of these police, I guess they shoot out of fear, out of hate, who knows. But now you got your girlfriend and your baby in the car. Do you know what I mean? And it's like, and from the sounds of it, this isn't the first time he's had encounters with the police. Do you know what I mean? This is not his first encounter with the police kind of thing or whatever. Like, and yeah, man. And it's just sad to see because, you know, sometimes you tell people about who they should be around, because I guess the concern is more so just towards like the young lady and the baby, because it's like you could hear the fear coming out of her. Do you know what I mean? And it's like, and I want to question, it's like, how do you get yourself in that position in the first place? Obviously, she's not driving the car. We get that. She's just with the person who's doing that. So she's in a situation that predominantly she's not like she's fundamentally not the person who's chosen that situation, but that indirectly she's chosen
that situation
to be in that situation.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And you know, like just the importance of like knowing who you're around and knowing the people who you're around, because yeah, man, like people are who they are, man. Unfortunately, do you know what I mean? So
it's crazy because I watch these videos from time to time. I've not watched them for quite a while, but I do believe this is a video I've watched before, like a full video, and I actually think, if I'm right, that this young man gets murdered at the end of the car drive. I hope it's not the video, but I think what happens is, I think he might have a leg on him, or they say they did. They go back. I can't remember if he said he didn't. They said he didn't have one, but he did have one, or something happened, or they know him for having that had you know a weapon. Sorry, a weapon before. But I think it looks eerily like a video I've watched quite some time ago, and I feel as though that ends tragically. To be honest with you, it ends tragically, man. It's crazy, and you're right, B. She did put herself in that situation. And it's unfortunate. You know, it's weird because they say, it has been said that, you know, women like, you know, the bad guys or the tough guys and that kind of stuff. And to a degree, when we think about, you know, primal instinct, it's understandable because, you know, women, feminists don't be at me, you get me, but, you know, women look for a protector, a provider, you know, in a man. But it's unfortunate because some of these situations and some of these men that women are selecting these situations actually only cause more harm if you don't evaluate well. So like you were saying in the intro, B, I think it's super important for us to be mindful about who we select for as a life partner. And it's equally important to ensure our children are equipped. It's like, we can't force them, but our children are equipped with the understanding, the emotional intelligence, the intellectual awareness to be able to navigate situations such that they're not, just falling what they call it, head over heels for a person without evaluating their character and their conduct. Because essentially, if this is that very same video, bro, the child and the woman are left without the man at the end of it. And this ain't the only scenario. There's many people, many scenarios where, similar things happen, and we can blame the police, we can blame the young man, but ultimately it's tragic all in all. And it's not the end that we desire for anyone. Do you know what I'm saying? Loss of life. That's not what we desire. So it's important, man. It's really important. It's really important.
Yeah. Do you know what? Can you explain to me, this might sound might be a silly question, but when you mention primal, you're saying, so ultimately this is built in us, or in women in this case, to look for someone who they believe is going to protect them, is going to watch over them. Because I've oftentimes heard, like when you're oftentimes heard, especially that, obviously in our line of business, like with, like charts and stuff like that, like I've oftentimes heard you behave this way because it's built in you because of what came before you. And I've never really understood that.
I'll characterize it to you this way. Like I don't believe in the Big Bang as is taught broadly speaking, and I don't believe in the caveman era into what I'm saying, from the Neanderthal rather into modern man. I believe that from the inception of creation, man was an intelligent entity, an intelligent design, intelligently created. But what I will say is that based on my reasoning, the fall, the fall of man, the sin in the Garden of Eden, and we're dealing with the flesh and carnality. So that flesh and carnality, and then obviously when you look at some of the conversations between God and Eve in the garden, the judgment that came, there is like a baser nature, like a basic instinct, basically. The Bible says it's not good for man to be alone, right? And then God created Eve so that they would be together, and we see this time and time again. The scripture talks about two are better than one, and a threefold cord is not easily broken. That principle that runs through a lot of the fabric of life. So if you think about strength, unity, teams, like two people, like one person is good, two people are more effective than one. Three people are more effective than two in that sense. So I think there is an instinct, a basic instinct, a base instinct in us that desires fellowship, culture, community. And this is why business is good. Business is a good thing, because business and commerce, those things are like fodder. They're fuel for creating societies, basically. Healthy business, good exchange, meaningful exchange. I serve you with a service that I'm good at and I'm skilled at, and then you can serve me in the same way, and that's how the world goes around. We serve each other in that way. So these things I think are core functions, core structures of the way God has built the world. So in terms of women, I think like a woman desires a man, and understanding, like even if you think about this on a very base level, a woman, I say again, feminist, this is my caveat, like don't come here, yeah. So on a base level, a woman wants a man, and what does she want from that man? She wants that man not just companionship. I think men desire companionship on a basically more than women. We just want solely. I mean, we just want a companion. Just be there, company. I serve you in the way I can serve you. You serve me in the way you can serve me. But I think on the flip side, a woman desires protection. Even if it's intellectually, mentally, emotionally, physically, there is, and a lot of women today will say, oh, no, but there are women who will fight tooth and nail to say, no, I want a man that can cater, care for, and protect me. And I'm not talking about these confused men and women today. I don't know what all the color pills are that they talk about now. Do you know what I'm saying? But red, black, blue, yellow, green, or whatever it is, drizzle or
Matrix.
Or There's all this drizzle, and there's another one I can't remember. Swiggle, whatever. There's all madness going on in the world. I ain't talking about none of that. I'm just talking about on a basic human level, there are desires that we have towards each other, and I genuinely believe a woman knowing that a man, just think about biology. A man is stronger than a woman. You put the same age group together, young, medium, and elderly, bruv. Like the man, there are natural characteristics and traits about the man. There are natural characteristics and traits about the woman that are different, bro. Women's physique is built for childbearing, bruv. If you look at the way that, bruv, we can go into this, bruv. Even just we look at the physiology of a woman, just the way that she's built, the wide hips, all those kind of things. Those things are there, bruv, to carry a child for incubation, bruv. It's natural, just the way God created it. And a man, much alike, we have different physical attributes that tend more to labor, protection, etc., basically. So that's what I'm saying, bro. I'm not like, if that makes sense. So when I'm just talking about on that primal level, I don't mean it. Some people could be like, on the animal level. So there's a carnal side of it, which we can really go into if you want to, and then there's that kind of just the physiology, the physiological side of it that God has created us, bro, in that way.
Yeah, I guess the way that you've explained it is the way that I've always thought of it. So I get confused when they try to tell me that I think and feel the way that I feel because of another individual, not because the way that God created me. If that makes sense.
Yeah. So tell me, like, enlighten me. Tell me a bit about how they present it, bro. Let's kind of hash out if we can.
So basically, just in a way where it's like you think the way you think because of your ancestors, because of what they did before, and it's been passed down throughout generation and generation and generation. So therefore, it's been embedded in you. So when you're afraid of something, you're afraid because they were afraid. So it's almost like a gene that got passed down or something like that. Not that I'm an individual with my own experiences, with my own life experiences that's gone through certain things that's basically caused me. So for example, obviously, in the chart, we would say that my relationship with money will affect how, whether I'm greedy or whether I'm fearful, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, but that's basically what it is. Like, so I always got confused. I always got confused by that. But yeah.
So I think what they're alluding to there is there's some study, like scientific studies, that they talk about the SNS, sympathetic nervous system, and they tie that back to your fight or flight. That's what they'll tell you about. So they talk about fight or flight, and that your SNS, fight or flight, is tied back to your SNS, and they say that the sympathetic nervous system is like a fundamental structure in you that causes you to either, when you have any circumstance, you will flee or you will stop and fight. And they always, and I think this is because of their worldview, tie that back down to dinosaurs and the caveman era. That's what they just do, bro, because this is their frame of reference they see life through. So they tie that back to, I do, I guess, have some acknowledgement of the sympathetic nervous system. I'd say, yeah, SNS, I believe that, but I don't believe the origins that they will try to prescribe it to. They say, like almost this has been trained or derived from that period. Do you know what I mean? That dinosaur period. So, bro, it's some of these people just spout mad things, bro. They've got like very smart people can say some really stupid things sometimes, bro,
and make it sound smart.
Very true.
And cause confusion.
Yes, bro. Yeah.
Agreed.
Sure.
Yeah.
But what was your take on that video?
What was my take on the video? It's sad, man. Number one, it's very sad. It's the reason why these kind of things hit me is because I always think to myself, it's like, and I always say this, and I truly believe this. We have until, like, if you have air in your lungs and a heart that's beating, you still have time.
Come on.
You still have time to turn things around. And there's a famous story in the Bible which like really cemented this for me. Like, the story of Samson in the Bible, yeah? The guy with long hair, God gives him supernatural strength, etc. As long as he has long hair, God continues to bless him with strength. So he obviously wipes out a lot of Philistines. He kills a lot of God's enemies, basically, that are fighting against these people. And he had a problem with women. And as he's going through life, he's lacking the discipline necessary to stay in a position which is good with God, basically. So he ends up with this woman, Delilah. She basically doesn't have his best interests at heart, and she basically plays him, and she's like, look, tell me, where's the source of your power, basically? What is it? And he's playing games with her over a period of time. Oh, it's this. Oh, if it's this, if I'm tied up in a particular way, or if I do this, or if this happens, etc. Blah, blah, blah. And the Bible just says, like, she stressed him day after day after day. And it, to a point where he was just so stressed out, he told her, like, listen, I've had this vow and over me. And as long as I don't cut my hair, I'm going to have this supernatural strength, supernatural strength from God. And every time he would tell her it was this, she would run through the process and then realize that he's deceiving her, he's not telling the truth. So it's almost like, I don't know, like, I guess you know what, it's like, certain times we do something back in the day which is sinful, and it's like, how was I doing this? Like, imagine back in the day, like, you're doing something sinful to make money, and you're making a lot of money. But when you look back at it, you're like, well, imagine if I just didn't do that one dumb thing. Like, I could still have a lot of money from it. And it's like, yes, that's true. But then at the same time, because you were doing those things back in the day, that's why you wouldn't do that one wise thing, which would change the whole scenario. And I'm just saying that to say, the question is obvious. Like, why wouldn't Samson realize that she's going to cut his hair off to test if he's telling the truth or not? And as she did, she cut his hair. And it's actually amazing when you read the Bible. It talks about how she cut his hair and the army comes to get him. And the Bible says something like, he tried to go out like he did before, and he couldn't. He didn't know that the Lord had left him, it says. And it's like, it's just, imagine what it would have felt like in that moment, being so powerful and then realizing you're weak. So then they capture him, they pluck his eyes out, they basically make a mockery of him now. So now he's like entertainment for all of his enemies. So time goes on, he's obviously embarrassed, they're mocking him. Whenever they have parties, whatever, they bring him out. Yeah, bring Samson out so he can make sport for us, so he can be our entertainment. They can look at him and like, oh, we did this to you. So then he now says, at this point in time, like, he prays to God. And he's like, oh, Lord, like, help me this one last time. He basically repents. He's like, Lord, like, help me this one last time, avenge myself of the Philistines. Let me basically take them out for what they did to me just this one time. And God basically gives him the strength that last time to wipe out a bunch of Philistines. And there's one part of that story which is so deep, which ties in all the stuff I'm saying. The Bible says Samson was able to wipe out and kill more Philistines on that last day of his life than his whole life combined. Oh. And it's such a powerful story for me, because I always think to myself, God can do more with you in the last day of your life than everything you've done before when you trust in him. And that's a powerful story that helps me just remember it's never too late. So when this guy's in the car, and you said it, Ben, like, his girl was saying to him, I love you more. Like, you don't have to keep going down this pathway. And even now, like, based on what Zeke was saying, if it is the story where he gets killed, it's like she said to him, listen, pull the car over and just put your hands up. And he's obviously feeling that we've all probably been in those sorts of scenarios where it's like, well, I've gone too far, I can't go back. We actually feel like we don't have any more opportunity. We don't have any more, like, a chance anymore. But it's not true. That's what the enemy wants us to believe. Yeah. He wants us to believe as far down as of the wrong pathway we go, there's no way back for us. And that's not what God says. Like, God more than anyone is the one that can reverse a situation, can change a situation. And that's what we need to remember in those moments. And that's just what this story reminds me of, man. When we're watching this, it's like, how are you finding yourself in this vehicle with your girlfriend and your 4-month-old baby? Like, why? But even still, like, even if you do find yourself in just the worst situation, you still have an opportunity to turn it around. That's not the end. If you're dead, fair enough. You can't do anything anymore. But if you're still living, you can make a decision. You can change and say, no, I'm not going down this pathway anymore. I'm going to repent, as they say, right? The repentance basically means you change your mind. That's what repentance is. You come to a conclusion and you say, listen, I've been thinking one way, now I'm going to think a different way. So imagine as she's saying all this stuff to him, he just says, okay, I've found myself in this scenario, which is terrible. It's the kind of situation you never want to find yourself in, but I'm here. I'm in this situation. And then just taking the next step and saying, I'm going to go a different way. That's just what I think about most when I think about what we watch, man. I wish we could more and more change and realize it's not too late for us. We would be so much further in life if that's what we were doing more often.
You know what's like really deep, right? I try to imagine myself in that car, driving that car in that moment, and just like what would be going through my head, right? So this is where the devil's almost like laughing, and he's hype and he's happy because he's got you right where he wants you to be, right?
Yep.
Let's think about it this way. He's driving, and in his mind, if I stop, I'm dead.
Yeah.
Right? That's what he's thinking in his head.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not thinking in his mind. Well, at least from what I can see, it's like the fear. Let me not try to say what he's thinking. I could imagine how the fear of the outcome that he's imagining has overtaken his ability to reason at that moment in time.
Yeah,
that's exactly where the devil wants him.
Yeah,
because now it's like you ain't gonna stop, because the reason in your mind is if I stop, I'm gonna die. From the videos I've watched of people who stop their cars, right? Like, even though I'm supposed to be responsible for my partner and my child. Right now, if I stop this car, that's exactly where the devil wants him, where the enemy wants him to be.
Yeah.
And in that moment in time, because fear has overtaken him, it's like, I'm not stopping. Do you know what I mean? And even if I stop, it's like, it's going to be out of like, even just the action after I stop might be one that may cause an outcome that I don't want now. So I can stop rather than putting my hands out. I might try to open the door. Do you know what I mean? I might try to open the door, try to get out. And do you know what I mean? It's like the way, I remember Ezekiel said it to me a while back. Devil plays a long game. And he can orchestrate a situation, yeah? Like, this fear didn't just happen overnight. Over his life, he would have watched videos, entertained certain thoughts, done certain things that would have enabled him to think in a way that he's thinking in that moment in time. Same thing with the police. They would have watched certain things, entertained certain things, certain thoughts that would cause the outcome that could potentially, that may potentially happen. You know what I mean? Like, it's just crazy when you think about it. It's like the thing that you've entertained so much, the things that you've done so much over and over and over again, is now leading you to a place where it could now dictate that. Well, we know that it oftentimes dictates the outcome that you get. Do you know what I mean? And it's just like, it's so sad to have people be in that situation. Hence why it's like, you know, like I was having a conversation with a friend of mine yesterday, and he was just like explaining to me like his current situation, and you know, like just how hard things are, and you know, like, and how tough it was for him to think like in a good way, in a positive way. Like basically he was just talking about like how, you know, like this is happening and this is happening and this is happening. So I've heard him, I've heard everything he's saying to me, and I said to him, I asked him after he's finished just, you know, telling me about his current situation. I asked him and I was like, what are the positives?
Yeah.
And I was like, not to take away from anything that you've just said to me that is happening. I was like, I agree with you. Your situation is difficult at the moment. Do you know what I mean? Whether it be bills, whether it be family, whatever it may be. Like I was like, I agree with you, and I don't want to make it sound as though I'm knocking the things that you have just explained to me that are causing this current feeling that you're having in this situation that you're in. I was like, what are the positives? Because from my understanding, a person who's depressed is a person who only sees the negative and cannot see the positive, from my understanding. So if you find yourself in a place where all you can see is dark and you cannot see light anywhere, right? Which I don't believe is the case, but if that's what you're entertaining, yeah, 1 day goes, 2 day goes, 3 day goes, and I was like, I learned a long time ago, the cells in your body tell of the things that you're thinking about day in, day out. Yeah. So you have an environment of cells that just pick up on the signals that you're basically negative this, negative this, negative this, negative this, negative. So then when you want to do something positive, they're like, wait a minute, you've been feeding us this all along, and now you just want us to change. Like, we can't just do that. Do you know what I mean? So I said to him, I was like, yo, like, here's the reason why, like, bro, I take into consideration everything you're saying about your situation. Now I say, for your benefit, right? As your friend is like, I hear this, and I don't want you to be going through that. I don't want you to be going through that, and I hate that you're experiencing what you're experiencing. And I hope by God's grace, things will happen where, you know, God will show you what you need to do, and you get out of your situation. I was like, but it starts by acknowledging that even if it's just I have a mindset that can work a plan, and get out of my situation. Even if you just have to give God glory for that, just do that. Just do that, because if you solely just focus on that thing, this is how along the way, when you're trying to think the way that God desires for you to think, you can't, or not that you can't, but you find it so hard because you've dwelt in this place for ages. It's like nobody eats bad for years on end and in 1 day. But what I recently came across this drug that everyone's been taking, Ozempic.
Yeah.
For people to lose like massive weight really quickly, right? Apparently, this thing is making them blind.
Yeah. I've seen some stuff, bro.
The side effects is that because you can't be in a situation, bro. You can't be in a move, bro. Imagine you're in a you know, these lorries, these massive lorries, yeah, and you're traveling 100 miles per hour. You can't just turn that thing and then go the opposite direction. You have to slow down significantly.
Come on.
And then begin to turn. Do you get what I'm saying? So it's like, that's why it's important. You know, like these things, like they lead to a certain place. So like I had a friend back in the day, yeah, who I remember one time when the PlayStation 3s came out and you can now store videos on your PlayStation, yeah. And I remember I used to like, I'll try to have conversations with this guy about, you know, like just like positive things or whatever. Couldn't. It just wouldn't settle. Like, what's going on? What is it? But I remember one time I gone into PlayStation to play a game, yeah. And the amount of rap videos the guy had on his PlayStation. This is my young days as a believer. It clicked. I was like, no wonder why it's hard. No wonder why there's a brick wall that you tell him, look, nah, this is how it is, and it keeps bouncing off. It keeps bouncing off. He's feeding himself so many burgers, bro. You give him a salad, bro. Like the guy's like, nah, bro, that tastes disgusting. I'm not eating that. Do you know what I mean? I'm not eating that at all. So it's like, and this is so for the young lady, for example, it's like some people may say like, oh, but you don't know, you know, like why they're together, so on and so on and so on. Like, I would like to think, and I would like to make an assumption that people leave clues as to who they are. They can lie to you on the first day, second day, third day. Do you know what I mean? But over time, you get a feeling of who they are and what they do. Do you know what I mean? It's like, yeah. So I don't know. It's just like when you see certain things, try your hardest not to put yourself in certain situations, no matter how enticing it is. Like I've been in situations, you know, like with friends of mine where they might decide to do certain things, and I, just because of the teaching of my parents, even though I wasn't a believer at the time, just from certain teachings from my parents, it was like, okay, this is where I walk away.
Mm.
Do you know what I mean? It's like I could do things up until a certain point, but this is where I walk away. You know what I mean? Because it's just like, well, that's extreme. That they could end up either hurting someone or they can get seriously hurt. This is where I walk away, kind of thing. Do you know what I mean? It's like you have those things, and that's what obviously like in the intro I mentioned, obviously that parents like you teaching your children in terms of like who should be their associates, who should they be hanging around. Do you know what I mean? It's bigger. It's so much bigger than just, oh, they like a boy or they like a girl. Do you know what I mean? It's so much bigger than that, because when things happen, it's always, I never saw that person doing that. I never was like, wow, like, you talking about? They walked around with a billboard, like, telling you who they were, bro. Like, you just chose to ignore it because they look good. Because your daughter convinced you that they wanted to be in a relationship with them, or your son convinced you that they wanted to be in a relationship with them. So, like, it's so peak, bro. It's so peak how, like, it could be orchestrated by the enemy to lead a certain way, and the whole time he's allowing you to do it.
Yeah.
I mean, it's super crazy, bro. Yeah, it was a sad video. It was a sad video to watch.
Obviously, I said it before, like, I spoke a lot about the guy, it's not too late for him. It's the same thing for the lady. Do you know what I'm saying? It's like, based on this situation, she's gonna have her own trauma and obstacles to overcome, and her thinking about it, like, as well, like, it's not too late for her to make the right decisions, to start correcting things in her life and all of that kind of stuff. Do you know what I'm saying? It's like, you're like, she's not married to him, they have a child together. That doesn't necessarily, like, you know, some people are like, well, look, they've got a child for someone, that means all of a sudden, like, they're connected forever, and that because of that means they need to be together. That's not necessarily true. And, like, yeah, man, like, everyone has an opportunity if they still have an opportunity. Like, do you know what I'm saying? It's so simple, but in the moment, when you're going through different things, it's easy to, like Ben was saying earlier, allow the fear to stop you from actually just making a decision, taking a step, which is so obvious for everybody. Like, in this, I remember I read this in this book one time, like, it was talking about, like, association, and they were basically saying it's like, when you're in a situation, you've experienced it differently to if you were like a fly on the wall, for example, and could see someone else going through the same situation. And they was basically like teaching this, like, this concept of distancing. Basically, a way to overcome certain scenarios is to distance yourself from the situation. And I was talking about different ways you can distance. One of the ways is just thinking about it, like, okay, cool. You watch what's happening in this environment, not from your own lenses, but from lenses of someone who is not in your position. And what do you think about it? What do you feel about it? And the whole point is, you're not going to feel as intense or think as intentively as you may be in the actual moment. So imagine, like, remember, good example, Ben was talking about earlier, he's like, oh, he's thinking to himself, what would I do if I was in the car? How would I feel? Basically. Do you know what I'm saying? That would almost be like the reverse. You're not, like, we're looking from the outside in, and we can, like, think about it and feel coherently about it. Like, imagine now being in the car, and so I mentioned it before, it's like, we've all been in those sorts of situations where we feel like we've gone too far, and we feel like there's no hope. So we understand to a certain degree what that guy's going through. Maybe not in that scenario, but in different scenarios which have the same sort of ingredients, same sort of elements. And in those situations, sometimes we probably continued. Sometimes we backed off and said, you know, okay, cool. I'm going to stop and change direction. And it's important, isn't it, for us to realize we are one person in a world which has billions of people. And that means we are unique, but then at the same time, there are common experiences that many of the billions of people currently living right now have lived previously and will live in the future will experience. And when you think about that, those are the kind of things which will help us in those difficult moments where we feel like there's no other option other than to keep going down this deadly, destructive pathway. And God shows us time and time again in the Bible that he is more powerful than even death itself. So there's nothing which God cannot turn around for us and help us with if we and when we put our trust in him.
Tell us what you thought about the video and would like to hear your comments below. Till the next video, peace.
Peace.
Peace.